How's it, my Orchids and Fynbos friends? Dave here, and I've got some really cool species Phalaenopsis to show you. Like this bellina, which has a really epic scent. Smells amazing. This is the Phalaenopsis bellina. This is probably the one I've had in my collection for the longest. It has like a lemon anise type of smell. It's really, really amazing. Actually very similar to my Harryella retrocala. I really, really love it. We have this orchid in the kitchen and it actually fills the room with an amazing smell in the midday. So this one's really, really happy. Essentially, I keep this in a clay pot with sphagnum moss and it seems to be very happy in the setup. So that is the Phalaenopsis bellina. So this orchid is probably the second one I got in my collection. This is the Phalaenopsis lueddemanniana. This orchid is in semi-hydro. What I do is I have them in a basket pot. I can't remember what you call these things right now. And what I use is microfiber through the lacquer balls to actually wick the water up to the roots of the orchid. And as you can see, look how happy the roots are. This thing's going wild. I have had some burnt root tips at the top. I just kind of leave that. I'm not too worried about it. So this one's been doing quite well in my collection. Also resides in the kitchen. So that's the Phalaenopsis lueddemanniana. I haven't seen it in bloom yet myself. Next, we'll go to the Phalaenopsis mentawaiensis. There's a lot happening here, as you can see. We have 2 blooms at the moment and 1 seed pod which is forming. I actually crossed this with the Phalaenopsis bellina, so I'm going to try my hand once again at seed culture. This one also again is in semi-hydro. This one's in pure lacquer in a clay pot. I usually leave a bit of a reservoir of water at the bottom here. It's doing quite well. It's quite a lot of new root growth that's gone into the pot. This one has an amazing smell. It's like a very strong cinnamon floral fragrance. It's really amazing. This species is from the Sumatra island. Really, really happy to have this one. This was originally thought to be a subspecies of the Phalaenopsis violacea, but I think subsequently that's been changed. It's now Phalaenopsis mentawaiensis. And this is probably one of my favorite of the lot. We don't say we have favorites, but yeah. Then I have the Phalaenopsis tetraspis. I think it's also called Phalaenopsis speciosa. It's the one that has those beautiful white flowers with red blotches on. So what happens is the color blotches change from flower to flower and from petal to petal. So it's pretty interesting. So one day you could get a completely white flower, the next day almost completely red, and some days a white flower with just very light red markings. So it's very interesting. Always wanted to have this one, so I'm very happy that I have this one. This is a bit of a more recent acquisition. So as you can see, there's a flower spike forming over here. So I haven't seen this one in flower yet. So pretty excited for that. When I received the orchid, I never changed the media. So this is still in sphagnum moss, and as you can see, the plastic container that it came in. I know they aren't ideal, but again, I try not to transplant shock the plants immediately. Especially if the media is reasonably okay. I will transplant this at a later stage to my specific media that I use. That's the Phalaenopsis tetraspis, and pretty excited to see this one bloom for the first time. Let's talk about the Phalaenopsis pulchra. So this is the plant that I received. As you can see, pretty beautiful, amazing flower with these really awesome blotches on it and this amazing sheen to the flower. Really excited about this one as well. Really happy to have it. The flower spikes, as you can see, are pretty enormous. I mean, like almost the size of my entire arm. Just place it in a space where it can grow its spike without getting bumped or knocked. Do bear in mind that with this species, it is prone to caking a lot. This was one of the cakeys that came out of this plant. I subsequently have also removed another keiki, which I've given to a friend. If I'm not mistaken, we have 2 plants at the bottom here. So this isn't even one plant. But when I received it, it was 1 plant. So very vigorous grower. I'm very, very happy that I have managed to get this one to flower. You can see the diversity of the Phalaenopsis species, how different the flowers, the leaves, and the flower spikes are on these species, and how much variety you can get with these species. There's one other species that I also want to show you. Probably, I think that is my most recent purchase, which I think was about 3 or 4 months back. So that is the Phalaenopsis pulcherrima. It is the 4N variety. So this is a pyloric type of orchid. This one's in its original substrate. So as you can see in this case, it's pure sphagnum moss. This one has amazing white and pink flowers and frilly petals. That's the Phalaenopsis pulcherrima. So the potting mix that I use is actually cocoa chunks, sphagnum moss and perlite. I find that in my environment that is the mix that works the best for me. It provides a lot of moisture during the summer, or retains the moisture during the summer, while also in winter the mix is still airy enough with the perlite and the cocoa chunks as not to compact and not to cause rot. As you can see, not all of these species are in this mix because I have been trialing many things over the past few years. But this mix works best for me by far. In terms of growing environment, these orchids are spread through the greenhouse, through the kitchen, through the upstairs grow room. Phalaenopsis are pretty easy species to grow, so I don't think there is a right or a wrong location, as long as you're not putting them outside in the snow or out in the desert. I think you're pretty much okay with Phalaenopsis. Let me know the Phalaenopsis species that you grow in your environments. I'm pretty interested to know what people are growing out there. Thanks for watching, guys.